Migrants and minorities seek asylum, employment, and economic opportunities as they struggle to find a permanent home. This project embraces migration by making property ownership accessible and flexible. These are real architectural spaces of migration across the many different generations and moments in time, created by lines of instability. This is Embracing Lines of Instability, and my name is Ashley Rodriguez. The abandonment copies. In the abandonment copies, research collected by the architect Sandra Calvo, she had revealed what it's like to live between two countries. In the inhabited houses, migrants spend a majority of their wages to share homes, trailers, and rooms with other families. Usually there are 2 to 3 families packed in one. Model homes are built and maintained by the migrants for upscale clients, serving as inspiration to one day build their own home. And lastly, the dream house. These are houses that migrants would build. However, construction can last for decades and most remain incomplete or abandoned. The Great Migration. In the Great Migration of the 1900s to the 1970s, African Americans escaped persecution in the South in search of economic opportunities in places like Oakland, California. These images show the Richmond Shipyard Railway that had provided jobs for women and people of color. The House on Magnolia Street. African Americans who came to the Bay Area in the Great Migration find themselves evicted or unable to afford housing. The house on Magnolia Street was resided by an activist group of unhoused mothers called Moms for Housing. They had occupied this vacant house on Magnolia Street. This is where their family had found refuge from sharecropping and the KKK. They've been in Oakland since. Idle property. West Oakland BART Village Mix is a project at 500 Kirkham in Oakland. It is an example of construction and land development process today that displaces and evicts holding these vacant lots for a long period of time. According to this project schedule, the design phase began in September of 2018, and construction was supposed to start in January 2020. This shows the relationship between buildings in construction and buildings in waiting, meaning property lying in waste, leaving many without housing. Project Gateway and 7th Street. In the Project Gateway of 1959, many homes had been demolished to make room for the construction of the post office that created displacement on 7th Street. Dozens of homes were bulldozed to the ground to make room for housing projects like Acorn. 7th Street had lost its cultural vitality through the demolitions of houses, urban renewals, and the development of the Cypress Freeway and BART. How can we provide stability to those who failed to convert within a new country? For long, Black, Latinx, and minority communities have been exploited, displaced, and made invisible. It is important to encourage a new kind of ownership for lower-income families that is more flexible in the instability and change that suits their lifestyles. Our hopes for the future. Adrienne Maree Brown, a writer, activist, and Black feminist, has said, "We need to imagine new worlds that transition ideologies and norms, so that no one sees Black people as murderers or brown people as terrorists and aliens, but all of us as potential, cultural, and economic innovators. A time travel exercise for the heart, a collaborative ideation, ideas that will liberate us all." This is a time travel exercise of futuristic spaces of freedom that are linked to complement cultures that are in constant movement. This image, Akiri Jones, Africa 2081 AD, is by Elilakin Jafis. He depicts Black and brown people as our economic innovators for the future. Since 7th Street has historically been a retail business and cultural center for the community, this is the perfect place to rebuild its glory, to rebuild its culture and a sense of family while providing the opportunity to build wealth through ownership of residential property. As seen, many cannot afford to own a home, let alone the land underneath. That is living half the American dream. Individuals travel great distances, 1,300 miles, 2,100 miles, 700 miles, coming in and out to claim identity, stability, and a feeling of home. Finally landing in a space of opportunity in which issues like housing and displacement are controlled, in which the land is community-owned and managed. On 7th Street in Peralta, a cooperative can be formed to meet the common economic, social, and cultural needs. This would take the form of owning a share and percentage of the entire community at an affordable price. The member owners would provide services and goods that would serve everyone. They can do this by setting rules on their own lot fees, monthly rents, and revenues that can regenerate back to themselves. The role of leadership can look like taking initiative to maintain roads, water, wastewater, drainage, and any other necessity, or to organize resources like money, materials, services, labor, and events. The site would have built-in units for individuals, couples, and families. The grid provides equitable and equivalent spaces to own a share of this building. Instead of owning a particular plot of land, a member owner would own a share of the overall percentage of the total space and profits. An individual's economic portion of one share to multiple shares is the access of larger spaces or smaller spaces. For example, this can apply to a household that's constantly growing or decreasing. A family of 4 would own 4 shares, and when their children grow to be older and go away for college, this family can release their shares and downsize to a smaller unit. Similarly, they can remain and create negotiations between other members. The shares would be spaced out to allow the surrounding spaces to work as collectivity. Then, collective platforms would intersect to connect the networking around friends, family, and community. The initial steps of the building process looks like this. The volume, the enclosure of the space. The grid, that works as structure and a divider of land and ownership. The red volumes as residential units. The cocoon, that serves as circulation. The cocoon and red volumes become collective activity, and the exterior grid as small collective programmatic spaces. These are all collective platforms from the cocoon, the small multiples and multivariable elements that share countless circulation paths and diverse moments, a container for the constant expansion and compression of cultural spaces. Here, collectivity can equal luxury. What are the kind of actions we want taking place between the members of the space? Programs in the building would be outdoor gardening, food storage, to family-friendly spaces in the exterior, as there would be a collective kitchen in the interior of the space. Collaborative seating would be all throughout the building. An important note in the program is to allow these spaces to be filled in with life unforcefully. Residents may do as they please with their spaces, as it should help with the collaborative engagement of the participants to make, tell, and enact the flexibility of their stories. The programs are meant to serve as tools and techniques to collage, map, mock up, write, and draw to create their own desired spaces. Originating from a series of playful stamps, the triangle stamp is equal to a 1-unit bedroom of 600 square feet. The other hatches of a 2-unit bedroom of 900 square feet and 3-unit bedroom of 1,200 square feet. As we've learned earlier, there is no telling in a household's capacity. So rather than a fixed space and fixed walls, the open floor plan would be divided and furnished with the intersection of the cocoon and wall dividers. Like in most migrant stories, spaces are usually divided by curtains, bed sheets, objects, and belongings enacting as walls. Or in other instances, families supporting loved ones and friends that are humbly pleased for a small space on the floor. The wall dividers are enough to impose privacy and extra divisions in the space according to the family's circumstance. As the intersection between the cocoon and the units become collective, the form creates welcoming spaces for guests inside their own home and out. The site today includes existing buildings. There are 2 active spaces on the block, Bikes for Life and Hella Positive. Hella Positive is a grassroots movement out of the Bay Area. Hella Positive is dedicated to encouraging hella positive thinking, interaction, and being a hella positive member of the community. Bikes for Life is to empower and inspire people politically, helping to make positive change in the community, utilizing popular education and multicultural as a vehicle. Their values are family, self-sustainability, and social justice. The Lincoln Theater Field gets open 1 to 2 weeks of the month. They unlock the gates and use a lot for music shows, merchants, and community events. Cuts and Blends, Revolution Coffee, unfortunately, has closed down, and the other building in the corner isn't in use. However, the whole second floor is rented out, along with another person who stays temporarily downstairs but maintains the garden on the sidewalk. The different architectural systems from the land, grid, and circles trade spaces as individuals fit legally and financially into the system, creating experiences in which life relates outside to the city and community. These are circles that create less hierarchy and more dialogue, inclusion, and empowerment. to focus on the authentic relationships that support mutual adaptation and evolution over time.
Am I gonna fail? And if I don't try, then how I'm gonna tell? Say that it's heaven, they say that it's hell. But we stuck here till we get there. Trying to have more faith than less fear. Trying to express it to your peers. I'm talking about dreams. Better to do it and let it be seen, cause then it's so clear. Look at them flock. Isn't it weird? Niggas is groupies, borderline queer. Fuck it, that's the nature of success. We all hold this so dear. How could you judge one if you was once one nigga that might one day become some? Body that make good on his word and transcends where he come from. Nevertheless, still come real. Show face to motivate these young ones. And niggas will never give you credit, none. Some questions go unanswered, most of those I give to God. Some niggas can't be reasoned with, those gon' meet the squad. And normal nowadays, my life is anything besides. It's a cold and lonely road, I knew it when I took the job. Progress on my heart, money on my mind. I got Brent Boy in my CD changer, smoking while I drive, nigga.
That's not really how you start. It's not about a leg. It's about the overall race. And that's one of the reasons why I'm American.